So therefore there is repeated abuse of power by the Chief Justice, repeated conflict of interest.
Was it also the Judge Loya case?
That they said in that press conference when they were asked. It was the Judge Loya case the last straw for this press conference, on which they said yes.
What about the faith of the people on judiciary? If all these cases come out in the open, then people's faith will be gone. Hello and welcome to this very special episode of the Studio Press, where we are joined in by a man who is one of the most top-notch lawyers of the country, known for his use of public interest litigations to support a number of causes related to environment, human rights and corruption. He has also been in the forefront of petitions related to Lokpal, judicial reforms and Right to Information Act. Apart from this, he has often found himself in the middle of controversies regarding his comments regarding Kashmir and also most recently about the Chief Justice of India, Mr. Deepak Mishra. My guest for today is Mr. Prashant Bhushan, Senior Advocate of the Supreme Court and Anti-Corruption Crusader. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us today. Mr. Bhushan, before I begin asking you about the January press conference of the judges, 10 years back, you gave a comment saying that half of the previous 16 to 17 Chief Justices of India were corrupt. 10 years down the line, do you regret saying that comment or do you still stand by it?
No, not only do I stand by it, I think the subsequent events in the last 10 years have borne that out, because of the Chief Justices that we have got subsequent to that, I would say at least half were corrupt. So therefore, that figure of 50% remains very much intact even till today.
So even contempt of court proceedings were initiated against you. Do you have any solid evidence regarding this?
So I had said that I get information about the corruption of judges from various sources, partly also because we have been involved with this Committee on Judicial Accountability and Campaign for Judicial Accountability for so many years. Some of the complaints that we get have solid evidence. Other times you get information without any very solid evidence, but when such information comes from a number of very reliable sources, then you have no reason to disbelieve it, even though you may not have documentary evidence of that. But when they had pursued this contempt petition, I had filed an affidavit detailing what I considered to be the corruption of at least 6 of these Chief Justices.
Was there any follow-up regarding this? Was there any action taken by the judges?
No, thereafter the petition has been in cold storage for a long time.
Let me ask you about the Medical Council of India bribery case, which is being probed by the Central Bureau of Investigation, involving allegations that former members of the higher judiciary took bribes in order to pass favorable judgments against colleges, medical colleges, which failed to get registration from the Medical Council of India. So the matter was to be taken up on Friday, November 10th, 2017 in the Supreme Court by a bench headed by Justice Sikri on your petition seeking an SIT probe. But one day earlier to this, that is on November 9th, 2017, on Thursday, a similar petition was filed by Senior Advocate Kamini Jaiswal with the same words, with the same prayers, with a different bench which was headed by then Supreme Court Justice J. Chelameshwar. So the next day, that is on Friday, a constitution bench was set up by the Chief Justice of India, Mr. Deepak Mishra, which nullified the orders of the Justice Chelameshwar bench. They accused you of forum shopping. May I ask, what was the hurry, sir? Your petition was to be taken up on Friday. Why was a similar petition filed on Thursday?
You see, that petition was filed by Kamini Jaiswal and it was mentioned by Mr. Prashant Bhushan. The reason I spoke to them. The reason for their filing a second petition was because, see, our petition of the campaign for judicial accountability and reforms was ordered by Justice, it was mentioned before Justice Chalameshwar, because the Chief Justice was sitting in a constitution bench. According to the rules, it has to be mentioned before the number 2 judge if the Chief Justice is in a constitution bench. He ordered it to be listed before himself on the next, I think it was on Friday. However, instead of listing it there, during lunchtime I received information that the Chief Justice has assigned it to a different bench. And thereafter I went and mentioned it to Justice Chalameshwar. Now, I felt that it was exceedingly strange, and not only strange, but it was totally irregular, and a conflict of interest for the Chief Justice to have himself interfered in the assignment of a bench for a case which directly involved him, because this case was seeking an SIT investigation into a CBI FIR which said that not just preparation but full conspiracy, preparation, everything had been done in order to secure a favorable judgment by bribing the Chief Justice's bench. That's what the FIR said.
Can I interrupt you, sir? Yes. The Chief Justice says that there was no mention of his name in the FIR.
No, name doesn't have to be mentioned. The case was mentioned. The case was being heard by him. And the FIR said that it was to influence the judgment in this case that bribes had been collected and 2 crore of rupees in cash was seized. And therefore it had to be, obviously the bribes were meant for the Chief Justice's bench. He was dealing with this case.
So indirectly, are you trying to say that you didn't have confidence in Justice Sikri's bench?
No, that's not the point. The point is, I didn't say that. I'm saying that it was totally wrong and irregular for the Chief Justice to have interfered in this matter and exercised his power as master of roster in his administrative capacity in a case where there was a clear conflict of interest. So therefore, when this fact became known to Kamini Jaiswal and to Prashant Bhushan, etc., they felt that this was totally improper, and therefore they decided to file another petition. And it was again mentioned the next day before Justice Chalameshwar, who ordered it to be listed before him at 12:45, and then at 12:45 suddenly one registrar came and handed over a piece of paper to Justice Chalameshwar, which purportedly said that he should not assign any bench in this matter. So therefore, he passed an order saying that in view of the sensitivity and importance of this matter, this should be listed before a bench of 5 senior-most judges.
But was he right in doing that?
Totally right.
Because master of the roster is the Chief Justice.
Master of the roster does not apply to a situation where the rules themselves say that if the Chief Justice is in a constitution bench, then the case will have to be mentioned before court number 2. And he has the same power which the Chief Justice has. Now this administrative order, which became the subject matter of one of the charges of impeachment, appears to have been backdated. It appears because that day the Chief Justice was sitting in a constitution bench. Suddenly he rose at 12 o'clock, and at 12:45 this piece of paper was handed over. And there are several telltale signs that this was an antedated order. It was an order written on that day, on the 9th, but antedated to the 6th of November. So therefore, Justice Chalameshwar was naturally very upset and livid by the manner in which the Chief Justice was seeking to interfere with his, and what was the order that he had passed? He had only said that let it be listed before the 5 senior most judges. What could be more fair than that? And instead of that, the Chief Justice seeks to interfere with that, thereafter constitutes a 7-judge bench, and then it becomes a 5-judge bench, and by using that 5-judge bench in which he himself sits and another judge who was involved in this medical council case, and they seek to overrule this order passed by Justice Chalameshwar, and then they list it before a bench in which one of the judges is the same judge who's sitting with him in this medical council case. So therefore there is repeated abuse of power by the Chief Justice, repeated conflict of interest. He exercises administrative power in a matter where he has no business to deal with it. He exercises judicial power in a matter where he has no business to deal with it. And he thereafter assigns it to a bench in which one of the judges has a clear conflict of interest.
So
there can't be a more gross abuse of power, and that is why this was also one of the charges in the impeachment motion against the Chief Justice.
So was all of this together when it came up? Was this the reason for the January 2018's press conference by the 4 senior most judges of the Supreme Court? Did this contribute?
Yes, it must have contributed.
Or was it also the Judge Loya case?
That they said in that press conference when they were asked. It was the Judge Loya case the last straw for this press conference, on which they said yes.
So the Supreme Court is clearly under pressure, like you stated.
It appears to be. It appears to be, because there is no reason for the CBI not to have proceeded further in that matter. They had already tapped the phones, they had collected enough evidence to file a charge sheet. Why has a charge sheet not been filed in that case, in that medical college case? Obviously that evidence apparently is being used to pressurize.
So, in your opinion, the press conference which happened in January this year, do you think there were no other options left for the 4 senior most judges? Any in-house procedures, or maybe take it up with the president?
They said that they tried everything, that they repeatedly interceded, they wrote a letter, then they spoke to him again and again. When nothing happened, then they held a press conference.
So do you agree with retired Supreme Court Justice J. Chalameshwar when he says that, and I quote, "The more important question would be to ask who is meeting those who are in power and where they are meeting, and that there is bonhomie between the judiciary and the executive, which is detrimental to the future of judiciary." You agree to this?
Absolutely. I mean, it is well known.
You know who's meeting who?
Yes, I know that Justice Arun Mishra had invited all the top BJP leaders for his nephew's wedding to his residence. He had even invited Shivraj Singh Chauhan, who had been paid 10 crores in the Sahara case, whose case he was dealing with. And he dismissed the case of that Shivraj Singh Chauhan in that Sahara matter by saying that big people can't be investigated on the basis of these diaries. And just few days before he dismissed this matter, this Shivraj Singh Chauhan had come to his Gwalior residence and had got himself photographed along with Justice Arun Mishra and his family. Yes, that photograph was published. I tweeted it.
So do you believe that a judiciary as an institution at the moment is being damaged by the alleged perception that even in the high profile cases, justices can be influenced?
Yes,
is this perception damaging the institution?
Obviously, clearly it is damaging the institution. Even this Judge Loya case, what was the charge of these 4 judges? That such a sensitive matter, firstly, there is a petition filed in the Bombay High Court by the Bombay Advocates Association. Bombay High Court issued notice in that. Then a bogus petition is filed by some BJP linked journalist in the Supreme Court. That petition is mentioned before the Chief Justice. He immediately orders it to be listed the next day before Justice Arun Mishra, which led to that press conference of these 4 judges. And thereafter, because of the uproar created by that press conference, he withdraws it from Justice Arun Mishra and lists it before himself and then uses this bogus petition where the counsel for the petitioner says that I don't want any investigation in this matter. This Pallav Sisodia, who is the senior advocate appearing for this bogus petitioner, he says, no, I am very happy with no investigation is required in Loya case. And yet this petition is used to pull the petition pending in the Bombay High Court to the Supreme Court. Chief Justice hears it himself and thereafter dismisses it and passes all kinds of absurd remarks against the petitioner, saying that this is a motivated petition, political interest petition, etc. And those remarks are used by the BJP in order to claim that the impeachment motion against the Chief Justice is politically motivated.
One question which seems to be overriding all of these arguments: what about the faith of the people on judiciary? If all these cases come out in the open, then people's faith will be gone. So what can be the solution?
Solution is that the judiciary should be clean, that the judiciary judges should be accountable, that judges should not put themselves in a position where they can be blackmailed, that they shouldn't do wrong things, and for that it is essential that judges who do wrong things should be made to account, should be held to account. And impeachment today is the only way of holding them to account. And if such a serious impeachment motion is going to be defeated in this manner, where when it is challenged in the court, the Chief Justice again constitutes a bench and excludes all the senior judges of the court from that bench. So therefore, I mean, it's all right, it's all very well to say that Chief Justice is the master of roster, but master of roster doesn't mean that he is the king of the court, that he can do whatever he pleases, even in cases where he has a conflict of interest, where he is himself directly involved.
So you think after Deepak Mishra retires, will all these problems be gone?
No, we don't know. You see, there are all kinds of judges in the Supreme Court. There are judges who have been members of the RSS. There are judges who have been very close to the BJP. Mr. Aayush Goel, who just retired, he was a member of the RSS, who is now chairman of the National Green Tribunal.
The very next day he was appointed.
Yes, of course. It's well known.
So the judiciary keeps a check on the government. Who keeps check on the judiciary? This is one very crucial question which needs to be answered. What mechanism can we form?
Unfortunately, there isn't any proper method of securing accountability of the higher judiciary. We only have impeachment, which is a political process, not just cumbersome. It's a political process from beginning till end. Beginning is political, end is political. In order to start it, you have to get the signatures of 100 MPs or 50 MPs of the Rajya Sabha. In order to end it, you have to two-thirds majority in both houses of parliament. So therefore, it's not proper for politicians to hold judges accountable. You need to have a totally independent body. And see, politicians also have conflicts of interest. They have cases pending in the court. They don't want to take up cudgels against a Chief Justice or against a judge normally, because they know that there will be a judicial backlash against them and their party. So therefore I've been saying for a long time that we need to have a totally independent national complaints commission, some kind of judicial complaints commission.
Open to public to see.
So that firstly it should be a body which is totally independent of both the government as well as of the judiciary. It needs to be independent of both these bodies. Secondly, it needs to function with some degree of transparency, and it needs to be selected by a broad-based selection committee, so that no one person or no one body can influence the selection of those people.
So apart from tensions within the judiciary, we have seen tensions between the judiciary and the government, be it related to appointments of judges or the transfer of judges. We have seen many transfers being stalled recently of Justice Joseph, who is now elevated to the Supreme Court. You think even Justice Joseph's elevation to the Supreme Court was a flashpoint between the judiciary and the executive's relationship. Now, with his elevation, do you think the ties will ease out?
No, unfortunately not. Unfortunately, this government has shown that it will use any and every means in order to make the judiciary subservient to the government.
Was this, is it only in this government or was it also there in the previous governments?
It's been there in all governments, but not in all, but even in previous government. But this
The
government
UPA.
is particularly bad.
Are you optimistic that Justice Ranjan Gogoi will be made the Chief Justice of India?
We hope so. We expect so. But you can't put anything beyond this government. This government has proved to be so brazen and so shameless in the manner in which it has gone and the lengths to which it has gone to subvert the independence of the judiciary, that nothing can be put beyond this government.
Recently, we saw the former Prime Minister of India, Shri Atal Bihari Vajpayee, passing away. Do you see any comparison between his policies, his character, and the characters of the present Prime Minister? How do you compare them both?
No, they are quite different kinds of people. Mr. Vajpayee was a secure person. I mean, he may not have been totally secular. He was perhaps also opportunistically communal. But this present Prime Minister is congenitally communal. He is very, very deeply communal. Mr. Vajpayee, to some extent or to a substantial extent, was a statesman who thought beyond the interest of his party and certainly beyond his own self-interest. This Prime Minister puts party before nation and self before party. So therefore he has unfortunately, as Mr. Arun Shori says, that this is a party run by 2.5 persons.
How do you rate the policies of the present government?
I don't think that we have ever had a worse government than this. This is a totally non-performing government. It has not delivered on any of its promises on jobs, on black money, on corruption, anti-corruption, on farmers. It has not delivered on any of those things. And on the other hand, it has promoted a culture of fake news, lies, falsehoods, abuse, violence. It has destroyed the rule of law virtually in the country by allowing these lumpen lynch mobs to roam around freely. It has destroyed, what to say of democracy, it has destroyed the independence of the media, it has brought the media under its control, it is seeking to destroy the judiciary, it has not appointed the Lokpal, it has not notified the whistleblower law, it has destroyed the Anti-Corruption Prevention of Corruption Act, it has destroyed the Central Vigilance Commission, it has destroyed the CBI, it has destroyed the Reserve Bank. You have appointed a total bigot, communal bigot, Guru Murthy, as a director of this Reserve Bank. You removed a perfectly fine person, Raghuram Rajan. You brought somebody who was close to Reliance as the governor. Now you have brought a total communal bigot who has no business to be there as the governor. They are destroying every university in this country, JNU, BHU, Hyderabad University. Every university is being destroyed and all kinds of totally communal, uneducated people are being placed as vice chancellors, etc. We have never ever had any government as bad as this one.
So, at last 2019 elections, who do you think will win? Because people say the BJP has the upper hand. Maybe
No,
it
I
is
don't
because
think
of the
it's,
Narendra Modi's face.
despite all their propaganda, despite all their control over the money, despite all their fascist methods, despite all their attempts to communally polarize the country, I don't think that the BJP will get even 150 seats in the next election.
150 seats. So that was Mr. Prashant Bhushan, Senior Advocate of the Supreme Court, talking to us on various issues facing the country. Until next time, goodbye.